The Genesis account, particularly the story of Adam, has often been drawn into modern debates about human origins, evolution, and common ancestry. However, to engage with the text in this way is to impose questions and concerns that the original author, Moses, and his audience were not addressing. The purpose of Genesis is not to provide a scientific explanation of human biological origins, but to communicate profound theological truths about God, humanity, and the world. Therefore, it is crucial to approach this text with the understanding of its original intent and reception. Adam is not a fictionalized invention by the author of Genesis, but a significant figure in the biblical narrative, representing foundational truths about the human condition. When Moses wrote Genesis, he was addressing a specific audience within the cultural and religious context of the ancient Near East. His goal was to establish the identity of God as the Creator, to explain the purpose and nature of humanity, and to lay the groundwork for understanding sin, redemption, and the covenant. Given this purpose, the Bible neither supports nor contradicts the concept of common ancestry as understood in modern evolutionary biology. The text is silent on such scientific details because they were not the concern of the original audience or the inspired author. Therefore, using the Bible to argue for or against common ancestry stretches the text beyond its intended purpose and risks misinterpreting its message. The concept of de novo creation, the idea that God created humanity fully formed and functioning from the beginning, is likely the view that Moses held. This understanding aligns with the ancient Near Eastern context in which Genesis was written, where creation narratives often emphasize the immediate and intentional formation of the world and its inhabitants by divine action. Moses, inspired by God, presented a creation account that focused on the theological truths of God's sovereignty and purpose rather than on the process or timeline of creation. In this framework, Adam is presented as the first human, not because he is the biological ancestor of all people, but because he represents the archetype of humanity, fully formed and placed in relationship with God from the outset. This view highlights the intentional design and purpose in creation, which is central to the Genesis narrative. The Hebrew term ha-adam is central to understanding Adam's role in the Bible. While Adam can refer to an individual, it often functions as a collective term for humanity. The definite article ha in ha-adam sometimes indicates that Adam is not merely a single person, but represents all humankind. For example, in Genesis 1:26 and 27, ha-adam is used to describe the creation of humanity in God's image, encompassing both male and female. This collective usage supports the idea that Adam is not just an individual, but an archetype representing all of humanity. Understanding Adam as the first human requires us to interpret first in terms of primacy and significance, rather than strict chronology. In this sense, Adam is the archetypal man. He serves as a model for understanding the human experience, illustrating the fundamental realities of life, temptation, sin, and their consequences. His story is not just a personal narrative, but a universal one that speaks to the broader human condition. Adam's creation, his life in the Garden of Eden, his disobedience, and the resulting consequences are portrayed as universal human experiences. These elements of the story reflect the human journey and relationship with God, making Adam as archetype rather than just first in biological sequence. Theologically, Adam's role extends beyond his individual actions to encompass all of humanity. Adam is seen as the federal head or representative of the human race. His disobedience affects everyone in Adam, as seen in Romans 5:12-21 and 1 Corinthians 15:22, demonstrating his role as the archetypal man whose actions have implications for all humanity. This understanding aligns with ancient Near Eastern practices, where a leader's actions had consequences for all people under their authority. In this way, Adam's story is about the universal human experience, not just about a single individual. Genesis 1:26 through 27 describes humanity beginning with Adam as being created in the image of God. This image-bearing role is central to human identity and purpose. As the first image bearer, Adam represents what it means to be human in relation to God. This designation as the first human emphasizes his role as the archetypal representative of all humanity, highlighting the shared condition rather than a literal genealogical lineage. Let's move beyond biblical origins to a broader perspective, ultimately understanding Adam as the archetypal man allows us to read Genesis in light of its original intent, focusing on its theological truths that it conveys, rather than just using it to answer questions about human biological origins. The Bible is concerned with explaining humanity's purpose, its moral challenges, and its relationship with God. These are the issues that Moses is addressing to his original audience, who were more interested in their identity as God's people than in the mechanisms of biological descent. Therefore, Adam's role as the first human should be understood as archetypal rather than purely genealogical. Lexically, Ha-Adam supports the view that Adam represents all humanity. Theologically, his actions have corporate implications, making him the prototype of the human experience. The concept of de novo creation likely reflects Moses' view of Adam's formation as fully formed and representative of humanity. By approaching the Genesis narrative with an understanding of its original purpose, we gain a deeper appreciation of the biblical message, one that emphasizes the shared human condition and our relationship with God, rather than forcing the text into answering modern scientific questions it was never meant to address.